I've gotten to where I gotten because of sponsors, because of people that were willing to share that power, were giving me the opportunity. I'm not speaking just from, oh, that's what we need to. No, I am here because somebody did that.
Yes.
And that is the that is what changes. I look at other women who we may have grown up at the same time, and the only reason that they are not at my level is not because they're not brilliant, is not because they can't do the job, is because somebody didn't share the power with her. It's because somebody didn't sponsor her. It's the only reason.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast and welcome to the Leadership Lab. I personally like to learn from, and we do our best to bring you people we can all learn from that have what I call lived experience, meaning they've not only talked about it or taught about it, they've done it. And that is exactly what the Leadership Lab is about. And today I have another guest who has done it and has the receipts. So today you'll get to hear a conversation I had with Dr. Merary Simeon. And I've had a chance to think about some of the things that we discussed, and so much of what Merary shared is certainly important for how we lead from a work perspective, and it can really be applied to all aspects of our life, how we lead in relationships, our friendships, our families. This conversation just inspired me, and it gave me some new strategies for living authentically and building real, authentic relationships with others. So, let me tell you a little bit about Merary, and then we're going to jump in. Dr. Merary Simeon is a seasoned HR executive, best-selling author of Her Act, co-founder of Zara Consulting, and the award-winning podcast What Rules. Merary has a deep commitment to advancing multicultural women in the workplace. And to do this, she equips leaders with actionable strategies, which is exactly what we get in this conversation, to foster inclusive cultures and drive intentional leadership. Dr. Simeon has held leadership roles in so many industries, including PepsiCo, where we work together, Pfizer, Prudential, Public Storage. She served as treasurer for the Women's Food Service Forum on their board. And as you'll hear, Merary is just a dynamic speaker, and her leadership has inspired thousands to activate their power, unlock their full potential, and fulfill their purpose. Merary holds a doctorate in strategic leadership from Regent University. Her guiding principle is Philippians 4:13, crediting her success to Jesus Christ. And that is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You are going to learn, you're going to be inspired, and likely challenged from this conversation, which is the whole point of this podcast. So thank you so much for joining and enjoy. Merari, thank you so much for joining today. I'm excited about this conversation for a lot of reasons, but for the audience's sake, I'll just share that we've met each other while working together at PepsiCo. We both were in different roles at different times, but
Yes.
I was remembering at one point you were a vice president for a division with lots of people in it. And I was the HR for HR. So I was like HR support for HR leaders like yourselves. And, we often did these surveys, engagement surveys, to find out how people felt about their manager, their work environment. And you always had the best results. I mean, like 99, 100, like you had a really large team. They were geographically dispersed. So it was a really complex role. But I mean, people just loved working for you. And when you would have to change roles, it was always like so many people were upset. Like, no, I don't want to leave Ferrari. Like they wanted to stay with you. And so, as we talk about leadership and leaders, I was like, I have to talk to Merari because I wanted to just first of all, thank you for being such a good leadership example. I feel like we just don't have enough, honestly. So thank you for being such a good leadership example for me and for others as well. And I just wanted to learn more from you. So I appreciate you being here.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for, sometimes it's nice to hear those things again.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So no, thank you for having me. Super delighted to share any wisdom that I may be able to.
Okay. Well, we're
Mhm.
going to dig into that. So I'm glad you shared that. And I also, we'll get into this too. So I have your book here, which is
Oh.
amazing. So we'll get into some of this. And usually when I start kind of these podcasts, I usually start with some research or stats about, the topic. But honestly, like your book is packed with research. I was like, Mari has references and like this is like really
You know, that
well.
was part of my thesis.
Yeah, I learned that when I read it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like this is so there's so much packed in here. I was like, I'm going to skip the stats and we're just going to jump in because there's we'll
Let's
get to
do
plenty
this.
throughout this conversation. So I guess I'll just start the foundation. Like you're really multifaceted. You have a lot of different roles, personal work, etc. Um, what parts of your identity do you consider to be foundational? Like if you think about who you are at the root, like what comes to mind for you? What parts of your identity are foundational to you?
That's such a great question. And as I was thinking about it, definitely my faith is the anchor of who I am. I would
Mm-hmm.
say everything in my life flows from it, including leadership and how I lead. I would say even my resilience during the times where I wanted to give up, it was
Yeah.
my faith that took me through it. And I would say the other one is my heritage as a Puerto Rican woman. My identity shows up in just the culture and in who I
Mm-hmm.
am as a Puerto Rican woman. We are compassionate, purposeful, all those great things. So those two
Yeah.
are ones that I believe have shaped me
Mm-hmm.
in the way that I am today as a leader, but also as a mother and sister
Mm.
and a friend.
Yeah.
They're absolutely part of me.
Okay. Okay. Yes, and I see that. What do you think specifically about being from Puerto Rico or being a Latina? Like, what in that has shaped your leadership approach?
Oh, you know, if you know anything about Puerto Rico or know anything about Puerto Ricans, I would say our culture is it's warm, but it's also joyful. Like, I
Mm,
used to joke around when I was with PepsiCo, I had the opportunity to lead the Caribbean for a few years. And going back to actually work as a professional, I'm like, wow, these people are always happy. Uh,
mm. Yes.
and it's just part of the culture. And we take so much pride in our roots that I feel that you can see that in the way that I lead every day because I lead with what I would say corazón and cultura. So I lead with heart and culture. And
Yeah.
it's the deep understanding of belonging, right? So as a Latina, I understand what it means to break barriers. I understand what it means to lead with empathy and equity and a strong sense of community because to me, I believe those are the things that I bring with me as a Puerto Rican. But I would also say that representation and
Mm,
advocacy are not optional for me as a Puerto Rican. They're part of my
mm,
purpose. So I
mm,
believe those leadership traits have carried through my career as a
mm.
professional.
Yeah, and the joy. Oh my gosh, I feel like most environments could use more of that. Do you know? I feel like most environments could use more of that.
It's funny you say that because somebody said to me I was in a leadership role years ago. They were like, we used to always bet when is she gonna stop smiling, and they were like, and we lost.
They were waiting for you to crack.
They were waiting for me to
Yeah,
crack. And I'm
yeah.
like, oh, well, the fact that my identity is in Christ, you were going to lose that right away.
There you
But
go.
joy is something you create and you bring.
Hmm.
Is it, if you let the environment dictate it for you,
Yeah,
it's,
it's
you
gonna
got to
be,
choose
yeah,
joy. Like that song says. My
yeah.
kids laugh all the time. We're always like, I choose joy. Let it move you.
Oh, I don't know this song. I have to go find the song. Okay, I choose joy. Yeah, and you have to
Yes.
bring it with you. I totally get that. I would when you were saying that another song, it wasn't a song, but it's an artist came to mind. His name is Ricky Dillard. He does choir. And in one of his songs, when he starts it, he says, I don't go anywhere looking for a good time. I bring my good time with me.
Yeah, there you go.
When you said that, that's what came to mind. Like you can't, if your environment, you can't go to your environment looking for joy there. You got to bring the joy with you. So it's more of an inside job. It's not,
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mentioned you were just a beloved manager, a beloved leader, and who also got really strong results. And sometimes people struggle with this kind of care for people and delivering performance. Sometimes they see it like this a little bit. And I'm curious, like, how do you balance that? How do you balance this joy, love, care for people with this performance aspect that I know organizations you've worked for, we work for required. So I'm like, how do you balance that as a leader?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And what I would say is You said sometimes people struggle with that, with people first. And
Mhm.
I truly believe that people first leadership is a brilliant strategy. Not because I lead
Mm.
that way, but
Yeah.
but because it has worked for me. And
Mm,
when I say that is because people want to feel seen, they want to feel valued, they want to feel supported. And when you do that, research shows that people perform at their best. Like you get a good return on investment in the person. So for me, I balance the expectations because I do hold people accountable with genuine care. And I
mm,
think that's where sometimes people struggle because they either create a friendship, which I
mhm,
do, I have those friendships,
mhm,
but when they do that, they have a hard time holding people accountable.
mhm,
So that to me is the first one. And the second one is I love developing people. I love investing in people. I always tell my team when I develop them is like the goal is so that when I leave, you run the show, right? And so that you can do this on your own. So and to me, creating space for accountability and grace is also important because
mm,
the other mistake where I see sometimes people make, as just having worked in HR for so long, and I see this happening, is that sometimes we go full throttle in accountability and we
mhm,
forget to give people grace.
mm,
And I put myself in those shoes. I've made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If you really look for them, everybody, we make them on a
mhm.
daily basis. So
Yes.
being able to give grace and being able to do it more from a coaching and development perspective, that's
Mhm.
how I build culture where results and relationships thrive together.
Mm, yeah. Oh, I could see that. And I can see that in your leadership approach too. And it's interesting to think, like I was doing this like people and results side, but you were like people first. It's almost like lead with the people, results will come. But you
Yes.
kind of front foot the people side. It sounds like in terms of your leadership approach.
Yes, they're the ones that are going to do the work
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Mm,
So it's being able to be able to provide them that safe space to
mm,
grow, but also I go back and I can't emphasize it enough to have grace. Have
mm,
grace with your team. It's very
yeah.
different than letting people slide. That's not it. I don't do that either. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also it comes with support and growth. When you really truly care about the person and
Yeah.
they want to grow, man, you're you're going to get people who are going to perform
Yeah.
and respect you for it.
And respect you for it. And, when you were sharing, I was thinking about a friend of mine shared a story he'd had with his manager, and they'd really worked well together. He'd been a strong performer. He went through a tough personal time, and he felt
Yeah.
like he didn't receive the grace, and it really like spoiled their relationship for a long time, and he was like, I just don't know if I can work here anymore. So your point about like offering grace when people need it the most,
Yes.
yeah, we probably don't do that enough.
And I'm not going to say that I always did that, but I definitely learned that from a
Mhm.
leader in my life early on in my career. I made mistakes. There was things that were going on in my personal life, and the fact
Mhm.
that this leaders saw the potential in me. They saw my ability to lead and do great things, and they knew that I was going through a tough time and gave me that grace. It
Yeah.
really hasn't. I'm paying it forward at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because we'll all be there at some point. All have been there and all will be there at some point, needing lots of grace for someone else, from someone
Yes,
else. So, yeah. Um,
absolutely.
so what are some, like, I would call it just tips and tricks? Like, what are things you did to build trust and loyalty or this kind of belonging connection among your team? I think if someone has a new team or, just trying to build more belonging and trust with their team, like, what are some things you did as a leader that you think contributed to that?
It's funny because people always say listen and it's kind of played out. But when I say listen, it's listen not just for what they need in the workplace, but what do they need or what's from a personal perspective as well.
Mhm.
And it's something as simple as, and I give this example all the time. It's like if I have a meeting set up at 2 o'clock, but I notice somebody's being late or somebody's picking up their child at that time, I own the meeting. It's easy enough for me to change it to accommodate, right? To make sure that
Mhm.
that person doesn't have that stress when I know um, it's for a period of time that
Mhm.
that they're going to need that support. So when you're listening, it's not just listening, okay, you need to do A, B, C, D, but how can
Mhm.
I make your life easier, so
Mhm.
that you can give the best of yourself and dedicate the best of yourself. So to me, that's critical. And at the end of the day, it's treating people with respect. It's simple. It doesn't cost a thing.
Yeah.
But oh my God, it makes such a difference um, when you do not look at the titles and you just look at the person as a human being and really get to know them. I always thrived, and I believe that the reason why I would get the high ratings is
Yeah.
because I still do. I try to find out as much as I can about the person, learn more about what they love, what they want to do, and I follow up on that. Hey, I know that you love doing this. What have you done lately? Oh, I can or
Yeah.
haven't been able to, and really encourage them because at the end of the day, when you do what you love,
Mhm.
you enjoy everything else. So I to me, there's several other things, celebrate the wins, acknowledge efforts, all those things. But honestly, if you don't care for the person as an individual,
Mhm.
celebrating those wins can only get you so far.
Mhm.
Acknowledging all the things can only get you so far. When you really, truly, genuinely care about the full person,
Mhm.
I can tell you it will build stronger relationships than you can imagine.
Yeah, and it kind of connects back to your comment even about joy, like you asking them like what did they like, what are they interested in, like
Yes.
that helps you kind of it actually encourage them in their own kind of journey and finding joy and enjoying their work. And um yeah, and I don't know, yeah, it can be so easy, like it sounds simple, it's really not,
It's
because
not.
in a really demanding work environment where you're back to back in meetings and your time is crunched and you're going from one thing to another, that ability to kind of be intentional with a person and tune out what else is going on and really listen to them and ask them interesting questions, and that's actually pretty challenging in most work environments.
The other piece that I would say where what I also try to do is have their back. Because I was just thinking as you were talking, and one of the reasons where I see, or one of the things that I see where people lose their trust in their manager is when their manager doesn't have their back.
Mm,
Uh, and to me, that has been critical and important. And I've sure gotten in trouble. Well, actually, I have. I can think of times where I gotten feedback that I'm too passionate about this or
yeah.
too protective of my team. It's not that I'm letting them slide with anything, but at the end of the day, if I'm not there to provide safety and an environment for growth for them, then who is?
Yeah.
So for me, that has been critical. And if I made a mistake, I own it. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, I was trying to think of what else do I do, and
Mm-hmm.
outside of making sure that I fully listen and
Mm-hmm.
really go out of my way to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they're well personally and professionally, it's really having their back and allowing them that grace, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a couple managers that did, and that's why people love working for you. Like that means a lot. Like that means a lot when you feel like the person you're working for, or the person that's speaking about you to others, is speaking well of you. Like they really do have your back. That has so much meaning for people. Especially in some organizations where you're not sure what's being said, you're not sure about the trust in other levels. So it's like, wow, when you know your manager has your back, that's yeah. Yeah, that's meaningful. Mhm.
I had a situation where it was another executive and one of my team members was presenting something and they said some smart remark, right, that
Mhm.
it wasn't appropriate.
Mhm.
And I was just like, hey, if you have an issue with my team and the way that they're presenting, let's talk about it. But that's
Yeah.
not acceptable. And I
Uh,
don't have an issue doing that. And
yeah.
just doing that alone,
Mhm.
it spread like wildfire. And people were like,
Mm.
oh my God, like she sticks up for people. But then you get both, right? Some people are like, oh, she just sticks up for their people. No,
Yeah.
I I respect them as individuals. And I would expect that if somebody was doing that to me and I didn't have a voice for
Mhm.
that somebody else would do that for me. So at the end of the day, it's just treating people with respect,
Yeah.
regardless of
Yeah.
the place. Because
Oh
we all know they're
gosh.
everywhere. There are corporate bullies too.
Yes.
So
There are personal bullies, there are corporate bullies, there are kid bullies. They're everywhere.
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
They
And I
really
guess
are.
that's part of my leadership style too. It's like, no,
Not here.
no bullies.
Not here. Yeah, exactly. So let me ask this. You've coached a lot of leaders, you've been on a lot of leadership teams. Like, what's something you think people often overlook? Is there anything from a leadership perspective that you think we often miss that?
Yes, I truly believe, in what I found um, in my experience is that leaders overlook the emotional side as
Mm,
well as the spiritual needs of people. Just being a woman of faith,
mhm,
I've I see that, and but if you want to take the faith out of it, a lot of it is the emotional side and the impact that it has on the individual. I had someone who was going through a very tough time with their dad had passed away. They were going through it. You know, when things
mhm.
go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And it was, oh well, this person is not meeting this, is not meeting that. And I'm like, do you know what's happening in their life?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I can almost hear you saying that in the meeting.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure that's the way I said it. And I'm like, no, like, can we have some empathy at
Yeah.
the end of the day? So to me, when it doesn't happen to you, people
Mhm,
don't know how to put themselves in that situations. And I truly believe, because we're so many times we're so KPI driven, that
mhm,
leaders think short term and not long term. Now,
mhm.
long term, treating that person the right way, that
Yeah.
you're going to get more out of that person than you
Mm,
will that if you just short term said you got to do ABCD, you have to. Yes,
mhm,
there are things that they need to do, but at the end of the day, I know I work from some leaders that said that in the past. We only make widgets. Like, we're not actually saving lives in the ER
yeah.
right now.
Right.
um,
Right.
but I do feel the biggest part leaders miss is the emotional impact, or whatever that person may be going through. I had a situation where I was assigned as an executive coach to, if you remember, we used to do internal coaching.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was talking, and they were like, oh, this person is doing ABC. And I go and have the conversation, and I find out they're going through a divorce, they're fighting for custody for their kid and all this. And I go to the manager and I'm like, did you know this? No. And I'm like, how the hell do you not know this? Right. So that's the piece that I believe managers miss. And it's really understanding their personal side of people. And it's not that you let people slack, because we all go through things. It's
Mhm.
not that. It's
Yeah.
actually listening. And to me, the other piece is just that, as a woman of faith, I typically invite people to say, hey, do you have faith, or do you believe in faith? And then they let me in, and I'm able to speak from the spiritual perspective to them. I always ask if they believe and if I can provide them that feedback, and they do. And I've done things as people have come to me because they have issues with their manager, and then I asked them if they're a person of faith, and they said yes, and this is in the work environment, and I'm like, well, are you okay if we pray for your manager? And they're like,
Mhm.
wow, I never thought about praying for my manager. I hate my
Yeah.
manager. And I'm like, yes, but
Yeah. Uh-huh.
these are things that I
Mm,
believe, as women of faith in corporate America, we
mm,
have to also extend that when given the permission. We have to take advantage of that when given the permission to help other people,
mm.
especially those who have faith. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yes. Yeah, I bet that changes the dynamic of the conversation too. If someone's coming in to complain about what's going on, it's like, why don't we pray for that person? Because, when you pray for someone, it's like God just softens your heart toward that person. Like, you can't even be as angry as you want to be anymore. It's like, I just can't even be as angry as I want to be. It's such a perspective shift. So I love that because I bet even if they thought you were going to pray, they thought you were going to pray for them, not for their
Yeah.
manager. That's good. That is,
It's
that's good.
crazy. And I use that example because it's worked every time,
Yeah.
because it's
Perfect.
biblical. Pray
Yeah,
for your leaders. Pray for
exactly.
those that hurt you. And
Hmm.
it's not the first thing we go do, because let me tell
Mm-mm.
you, even though I practice that when people give me the opportunity,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm human. It's not the first place I go when I'm mad at
Right.
someone, right? So let's just, I'm not a here saying, oh my
Yeah,
God, like Merary is the saint. No,
I got you.
I'm saying that when given the opportunity, I do, but it's always easier to help somebody else than when you
Hmm.
kind of thinking about yourself.
Oh,
So,
that's good. That's a good strategy with others and with ourselves. When you're angry at
with
someone,
ourselves.
it's like, yeah, let me pray for them and then see how I'm feeling about it then.
Oh, trust me, there's been many times where I'm like, God, I'm mad. But
Exactly. Oh, I
so
love
help
that.
me,
That's good.
help me. Just keep it
That's
real, right?
good. Oh, that's so good. So I know you also do a lot of advocating for women in leadership, multicultural women, your podcast and your organization, just so core to a lot of the work that you do. What do you think organizations can do, senior leaders can do, just to better support women of multicultural women, women of color in their organizations?
How much time do you have?
Come on, bring it.
But
Yes.
I would summarize it like this.
Mhm.
Organizations and especially senior leaders have to be willing to share power.
Mm,
And I say that because they have to be willing to really show the success of this person, to show their show what they're capable of. Too many people support more on the performative side. So they're, oh my God, we're so proud of her work. Let's recognize her. Let's do this. But they're not willing to share their power
mm,
of let's promote her
mm,
or him, let's promote them, or let's bring them back, let's bring them and make sure that they're part of the strategic session, not
mm,
just execute her. You know what, she's great, let's go have her lead this execute this project. No, share the power in the room to be able to bring her in to be more strategic. And the reason I say be willing to share the power, because there's a lot of leaders who just want to say, hey, these are all the great things we're doing, but
mm,
why don't you let her present? Why don't you elevate her to
mm,
give visibility to her? Um, so for me, I go back to I keep saying listening, but listen to also what's not being told, right?
mm.
Listen to the numbers, look at the numbers, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, we talk a lot about mentoring, and mentoring is great. I've been successful because of phenomenal mentors,
Yeah.
but be willing to share that power, and that means sponsorship. That
Mm,
means sponsor, invest in the women, advocate for women of color in the rooms that they're not in. It all dials down to be willing to share your power, so that another woman, a woman of color, sits at the same table that you do.
mm. Yeah. That's good. And it's also, I see a lot of both sides of that. Some people who are exceptional at doing that. And I think about people that, brought me into rooms and like
Yes.
advocated for me. And at the same time, I see a lot of not doing that, really just kind of thinking so much about yourself and your goals that you really aren't thinking about who else am I sharing power with? Who else am I bringing in the room? Yeah.
And I say that, and I'm glad you bring that up. It's because I've gotten to where I gotten because of sponsors, because of people that were willing to share that power, were giving me the opportunity. I'm not speaking just from, oh, that's what we need to. No, I am here because somebody did that.
Yes.
And that is that is what changes. I look at other women who we may have grown up at the same time, and the only reason that they are not at my level is not because they're not brilliant, is not because they can't do the job, is because somebody didn't share the power with her. It's because somebody didn't sponsor her. It's the only reason. But
Mm,
we got to do more of it, and
mm.
especially when it comes to women of colors, because the numbers are the numbers
Yeah.
and they don't lie
They don't lie, and they haven't changed nearly enough.
at all.
I'm
If
right.
anything, they gone backwards.
Exactly. Haven't changed nearly enough. So, um, okay, so I want to pivot because I want to talk about this, which I love this book. Merari, listen, I said that it has the research, but and it does. And though it has like the spiritual connection where you talk about the biblical examples. It has I love the practical exercises. Like there's so many like ways of okay, I learned about it. I learned the spiritual connection now. Like, what am I actually going to go do about it? So there's a lot of practical exercises. And you just have so many stories from like real people, which I love because I think those are inspirational. So just tell us a little bit about your book, why you wrote it. Just kind of take us in a little bit to this. Yeah.
Yes, I started her act, I would say as a movement. And it
Mm-hmm.
stands for healing, elevate your mindset, respect, achieve confidence and transformation. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, I wrote it because I lived it as well. And it is backed by research, as you mentioned. And it's also, I've collected stories from women, professional women, to support and really understand when I was trying to come up with her act is like, does this prove true? Or is it only me? Is this just
Mm-hmm.
only happening to me?
Yeah.
So when I got the research and it supported what I had been through, but at the same time, I said, well, let me ask and see if this is something, get some real life experiences. So that's why you see those there. But for me, I wrote it as a call to action. And when you discover something and you want to share it with everybody,
Yeah.
I'm the type of person of I like to pay it forward. If I come up with an idea, hey, I want you to use it. I think
Yeah.
this would be great. But most importantly, because of how my experience and just after interviewing so many women, how important and how critical it was for their transformation. And it all started with healing, right? And rising above those limiting beliefs and really stepping fully into your God-given purpose. We all have talents that God has given us, and it is up to us how disciplined we are about really putting those talents to work because the talent wasn't made for me. It was made for other people, for me to share it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just as transformational to go through it, but
Mm-hmm.
also to write it. And it's been great because I wrote the book a few years ago, and I just love whenever somebody will send me a note on Instagram or LinkedIn and said, "Oh my God, I read your book and it did this for me." And
Mm-hmm.
it's wonderful because limiting beliefs are real. And I could tell you when I launched it and all my friends were saying, "You did great, you did great." I'm like, they're my friends. All right.
I don't believe them. They're just being nice, right? Uh-huh.
When you actually get it from other people, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, it is creating an impact. But those are the things that I continue to work through every day, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
confidence is something, the more that you do it, the more confidence you become. People typically think with confidence is like, oh, you're so confident. I'm like, I had to step through that fear in order to get
Yeah.
to my confidence. But
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to be in the back of your mind. Am I good enough? Am I are people going to like this or not like this? I still cringe sometimes and I'm like, ooh, did they read it? Did they like it? Did they not like it? I found
Yeah.
this, found that. So it's always interesting, but to me it's meant so much to know that it's helped other women and that people find it interesting, but most importantly that people are able to heal,
Mm-hmm.
because to me that's when you find that's when you really truly transform and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to bring in your full potential. That to me the healing is foundational.
Yeah, and it's because that's why it's first too. Like
Yes.
you kind of have to do that first before you can elevate, before you can, respect yourself and others in that way. Mm,
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, because sometimes you think about the strategies, right? Elevate your mindset. It's great. I mean,
yeah.
you do need it. But if I'm unhealed, I'm gonna
Hmm.
be my worst enemy, right? And I'm
Yeah.
gonna self-sabotage
Hmm.
because I'm not healed. And I think so many times we think we're healed and we are self-sabotaging along our way. And healing is not a one-time thing. It's something that I have to do all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a daily work. It's not, and that's why I call it a movement, because it's not something that is just a one time and done. It's
Yeah.
you got to continue to stay. And but
Hmm.
that's also how I continue to be joyful.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that, the book has so many kind of people in different spaces. So when you think about healing, I was thinking there's stories of people that suffered abuse. It's stories from work. Like it's not just, I think when I was thinking of it, probably just because of we met at work when I thought I was like, oh, this is going to be like, I thought work focused. It's not that it's not work focused, but it's not just work focused. This is really life focused. Kind of how do you heal from whatever may have been in your life. Which I think is
Well, if you
most, that's the most relevant, I guess, so.
well, if you think of the question you asked me earlier, what are some of the things that managers forget? And to me is the emotional and the spiritual side. But
Yeah.
when you pay attention to those, it is great leadership. I mean, when you really look at leadership itself and
Mhm.
people, and you look at what makes a good leader, those are all biblical,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And the only difference is that when you take away the biblical side from it. But I
Mm.
really do believe that when you really do the spiritual work and the healing,
Hmm.
you become a better leader. Because when
Yeah.
you're unhealed, you bring that, and that you heard of that saying, what's in your cup is going to be what comes out. Oh
Mhm.
baby, it shows up.
Yeah.
Because I've been in situations where things have showed up and I'm like, ew, that shouldn't have showed up.
Right. I didn't mean to let that out. It's like,
It's like,
yeah.
whoa, something's bothering me. What's up with that?
Exactly. I didn't mean to let that out. Yeah, I mean, yes, I totally agree with that. And another word you mentioned that's a theme of this book too is discipline. And I just thought that was so interesting. I think because like I know you've run races, you do a lot of hikes and just I was like I always would have I feel like you live a disciplined life, but you also talk about in the book like struggles with that and how you lean in on that. So I was like I'm curious about your thoughts on
Man, I still
discipline.
struggle.
One person to another. Teach me some things, Mariah. Like, I was like, oh gosh, I love
Oof.
this.
Let me
But
tell
you talk
you,
about a lot of spaces. Yeah.
it is it's definitely accountability, and it's
Mm,
really being able to have people around you that
mm,
can call you out. And you got to be comfortable with that. It's
yeah.
I'll give you some examples even at work, right? If there's
Yeah.
things that I say I'm going to do, I empower my team to give me feedback if I
Mm,
do or not do anything. Let me tell you, sometimes they give me feedback and I don't like it. I don't like it.
yeah.
But this is part of, okay, you asked for it, you created the space,
Hmm.
and this
Yeah.
is this is something that I need to do. And
Hmm.
it's so easy to just go on the day to day and not be disciplined about these things. And it's easy to miss a staff meeting or take it out or miss a one-on-one because you have to go and meet with a C-level person.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
easy to do that. And
Hmm.
when people hold you accountable, that is discipline.
Yeah.
The other one, which is exercising, which I even hate saying the word. I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
Uh,
And you feel so good after it.
yeah.
But um, I my kids, like, if you ever want somebody to tell you the truth, just
Mm,
ask your kids and don't hate them for it and
yeah.
don't ground them for it, but they will tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you want to keep a good relationship with your husband, only ask if you're willing to be okay and receive it. My
You want to
husband is
receive
funny.
the
I love
information. Yeah.
we were we played this game in our dinner table that is called getting to know your family, right? And there was like
Mm,
this one question. Oh, what is one thing that mom goes, or that my question was, what is one thing you go to when you're stressed? And they had to guess, and everybody's
mm,
like, cake, right? And I'm like, oh, I was going through some stuff a
yeah.
few weeks ago, months ago, and then I was like, I ordered nothing bun cake. So I didn't order. I told my husband, pick up a cake, and the kids are like, why? What are we celebrating? I'm like, nothing. I just wanted. Do we need cake? Do we need to have a celebration, a special occasion to eat cake? No, we don't. So then my husband's thing was like, babe, you're going to the dark side, and that's our code of like
Oh, that's
you're
good.
you're going out of discipline. So I've been on the dark side for a little while now, but it's I say that because you do need to discipline. It's a lot based on accountability that you put on yourself. But if you have a
Mhm.
hard time with it, like I do,
Yeah.
I have other people in my life make me accountable for it,
Mm.
and hold me accountable. And tell you, sometimes I'm just like, whatever, I don't want to hear it. And
Yeah.
then, but it's also a constant reminder that this
Mhm.
is something that makes me a better leader. One of the things that in that research, and I don't know if I put it in the book or not, but when I was working on it, one of the things that I found is that the C-suite, they're all fit.
Yes.
When you look at the people in the C-suite, it's very rare to find one that is not. And
Mhm.
I always used to be like, how the hell do they find the time?
Yep.
But it's the discipline because it allows you to deal with more stress. It
Mhm.
allows you to just be in a better mood.
Mhm.
And it's true. I've done it. And when I stay disciplined, I am woof. People are like, how do you take on all that? And
Yeah.
that's one of them. But discipline is good. It's just even the same thing with the spiritual life. Like
Mhm.
there's sometimes like today,
Mhm.
I was gonna work from home, but then I ended up going to the office and I was running and I'm like, no, I said I was gonna read my Bible. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, even if I didn't do the whole, you
Yeah.
know, take my time and really learn from it, I was like, no, even the little thing is a win. So
Yeah.
all that to say, I'm not perfect, but I continue to work on it. And when you discipline yourself, it's biblical too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying too is just a reminder that there's so much value in it. You know what I mean? Like whether
Yes.
discipline applied to whether it's your physical health, kind of what you're eating, if it's your spiritual relationship, like how you interact with your team. Like there's just so much value to us continuing to build strategies to
Makes
be
you
more
better.
disciplined. Yeah.
Yes, yes, like we have the key.
Mm-hmm.
People always say there's all these other things, and when you asked about women of color, there is tons of things that the rest of the world could be doing, and absolutely one of them is sharing their power.
Yeah.
But I always reflect to what can I be doing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that is all that discipline of whether it doesn't matter, like doing my work, getting this, getting that, and many times we do all that and we don't get it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not a reason to stop,
Yeah.
right? Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I always say, and even Zara has built on this, is creating a world where multicultural women in positions of power are the norm. That starts with me. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to get to that position of power. And as I continue to be in these positions of power, I need to be the first one to share my power. And if I'm not, then shame on me.
Mm. Oh, that's
You got
good.
to be disciplined. You got to be good with you got to be very good discipline to be able to say, I'm going to share my power with her.
Yeah, it's almost in every aspect of life, it pops up.
Yes.
Like you can't get away from it.
No.
To be excellent in any area, you have to continually cultivate this discipline.
Yes.
And so it's interesting as we all try to apply it to different areas. Let me ask you this. Like I've always, I love how you integrate your faith boldly, transparently into your work. And, I try to do that as well. And I feel like you've just really done a really good job of that. You're very transparent, you're very open. Um, like, tell us more about that. Like, how do you integrate your faith and work? Because I think some people, I did a survey, I just thought about this, it was a while ago, for a podcast asking people about integrating faith and work. And it was interesting. Some people saw it as a goal, and some people really
Mm.
wanted to keep it separate. They kind of felt like there's work and my faith, but I know you don't do it that way. So could you just tell us more about how you think about this integration? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm authentically me at the end of the day. And my identity is in Christ. And I am the best Merari
Mm,
because of my identity in Christ, right? And
mm,
because of my faith. So
yeah.
if work wants to have the best me, this is me, right? At the end of the day.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not going around, like, oh, first of all, I think the biggest mistake people make is
Hmm.
that if I have to tell you I'm Christian,
Yeah.
then that you're not seeing me as a
Right.
Christian,
Right. I'm
right?
missing something. I'm missing something. Right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I truly believe in being the servant leader, and you see it in the way that I lead. Do I have to tell people I'm Christian? No. When people do give me the opportunity to lean
Mm,
in and pray with them, absolutely. But I do not impose my values on anybody. I
mm,
live my values. And because of
mm,
that, people want to learn more about me and people want to say, oh my God, well, you're always happy. Why are you always happy? Oh, well, you're always positive. Why are you always positive? Well, Merari, you do this, you do that. How do you do it? and I'm able to then talk about what I do. Now it's up to them if they want that in their life or not. But at the end of the day, I believe my, kingdom work, my faith,
Yeah.
it shows up with me every day. And if it doesn't, then to me that's a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this from somewhere. You My biggest ministry is it's really it's really me and how I show up, because
Mm.
people may never step into a church. I am the walking church. I am that. And if I
Mm.
treat people cruel, I mean, I'm in a human resource. I have been I even people are like, "Oh my god, but you do this and you might, fire people, whatever." I'm like, "That's not all I do." But when you could do that, you could still do it in a way where you show love and respect for the person. And
Mm.
that should translate. And if it doesn't, that to me is it's a bigger issue. But for me, um, I walk in it. First of all, as a Christian, when you
Yeah.
walk in, the room should feel different, right? Yes, they
Yeah.
should
Mm-hmm.
notice something different about you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I
um,
mean,
you know what I mean? So
uh-huh.
because I'm walking in the presence of God, right? So I'm not
Right.
saying that, oh, okay, I walk in and the room has to stop. No, but something,
Mm.
whatever may be in that room, like, at the end of the day, I if God is in me, it's got to show up. Whether it's peace that I bring in the room, whether it's a smile that I bring in the room, whether it's the integrity that I bring in the room, or whether it's sticking up for those that don't have a voice, all those
Yeah.
things are biblical, and it
Mm-hmm.
can be done the right way. That doesn't, am I perfect? Absolutely no. Have I said things that shouldn't come from a Christian woman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Haven't we all? Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I truly believe it's how you consistently show up. And I think people mistaken and they leave faith in between the four walls of the church. And they
Mm-hmm.
forget that we are the church. We are the walking church. And we are called. If you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to preach, but if you think about it, God performed most of his miracles in the marketplace.
Mm.
So as people
Wow.
in corporate America, hello,
Oh,
if
that's
you're
good.
separating it, you are not doing your role. I mean, most of the miracles were in the marketplace.
Mm.
And
Wow. That's good. More, I don't think I'd ever thought about it that way. I mean, but yes, yes, you're right. That's exactly where most of the miracles happened. Yeah, and you spend so much time at work. It's like if you're not doing it at work, when are you showing up as in your values? And I love what you said, like you don't impose your values, you live your values. That is exceptional. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think anybody at work will be like, "Oh my gosh, she's always preaching." No, I don't even
Right.
like, I don't. I just
Hmm.
live it.
You just
And
live
based
it.
on that, one of the biggest values, right, is like love, right? God wants us
Mhm.
to love. How do
Yeah.
you love at work? Genuinely, and
Mhm.
still hold people accountable. It can be done. It
Yeah.
can absolutely be done.
It can be done. Welcome to Anelra. Have you ever thought about unlocking the full potential of yourself or the leaders in your organization? Imagine the impact of executive coaching. Ready to transform your leadership impact? Visit us at www.anelratalent.com. Anelra, coaching solutions that work. Okay, so before we get to the last two questions, I want to ask you just, I'm guessing grab your book on Amazon. I don't know if there's another place or to your website. We'll put it in the show notes, but where do you recommend people go to get your book?
Amazon or my website, it's
Okay, either
perfectly
one.
fine.
Okay.
I
We'll put
appreciate
that in
it.
the show
Thank
notes. And
you.
I know you also speak to lots of different groups, corporate organizations, associations, universities, colleges. If someone wanted to bring you in to speak about, any of these topics, like how would they find you?
Yes, they could find me on social media, LinkedIn, or they could find me on my website. It's one of the big things that we're speaking about now, and I speak on all different topics. But most recently, remember, I think I told you this before we started recording. But as part of the podcast, What Rules, and interviewing so many women, we've reviewed a lot of the. We reviewed all the episodes, and we got some themes and build a framework around it, which we call Code AM. And
Mm,
what it stands for is: C is create what you want to see. O is own your power. D is don't do it alone.
mm,
E is embrace adversity as your superpower. Um, A, right? Yeah, I'm into A. Achieve your vision and then and make mold moves. So a lot of what I'm going around speaking now is that framework and how to use that framework from a professional perspective and a personal perspective. Because we found that these successful women's that we've interviewed,
Mhm.
all these themes came out of it. So we created a framework to speak
Oh.
to corporations and people about organizations, schools. Yes.
I love that. Yeah, and if y'all haven't checked out Murray's podcast, What Rules? It's amazing. You all talk to some fantastic women. Just the conversations among you all as well are really interesting. And you also talk to other people about just, leadership and transformation and walking in purpose. And yeah, I could see it's great you all been able to mine that. Congratulations on doing that work. That's a lot of work, actually. Back to the researcher in you. That's a lot of work,
That is,
actually.
that is. That's as far as we go. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna go and speak about it.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you guys. Okay, so last two questions before I let you go. The first one is, what would you most hope listeners take away from today's conversation? Like if they walked away with one thing, what would you most want that to be?
The one thing I would say is leadership is not about perfection because I'm not perfect, but it is about purpose. And I truly believe that knowing what that is and how you are purposely there for a reason to help others succeed, especially as a leader, it's critical. And the other piece that I would say is that healing is not a weakness, it's a strength, and it is critical to leadership.
Mm,
It is. Because as a leader, if you're not healed, it's gonna flow right to the people that you spend the most time with.
yeah, and like you said, it's an ongoing process. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, and then last question, what do you personally do to work well, live well? So create a meaningful life or the perma model in your book. Like what is it you do to personally just create a meaningful life?
I prioritize joy. And
Mm,
when mean that, it's not just showing up, smiling, and all that, but what are those things that make me smile?
mm,
And as hectic as you heard me complaining when we first got on that, oh my God, I got soccer practice and all this and that.
yeah.
It brings me joy to spend time with the kids, as
Mm,
crazy as it is.
mm,
And so to me, and I also said, right, I hold tight that sacred time with God, even if sometimes I'm on the go. I worship in the car or I do other things like I listen to other podcasts that helps my spiritual side. So to me, protecting that and protecting my family side are huge. The
mhm,
obviously the health piece is it's big.
mhm,
I probably let that one go faster than others, but I try to to stay disciplined around it. But
mhm,
honestly, whatever brings you joy. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, what brings me joy is it could be just eating this, or it could be just staying home and doing nothing.
yeah.
The only watch out to that is make sure that you're not hiding from what really brings you joy. Because to
Mm,
me, and I say that, and you didn't ask this, and I say that because sometimes I will be like, I'm going to all the kids things which do bring me joy, but it's because I don't want to do the hard things, other things that I may
mhm.
need to be doing. So it's really important that whatever brings you joy, it's you're not using it to hide from a responsibility or something that you do need to do. So it's something
Mm.
that you're constantly working on. I say that from experience. Like there's research and there's stuff that I need to do, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do this now. So it's a balance. Don't hide
Oh,
from
yeah.
what from that one piece that you're gonna say later, wow, I regret it. I should have
Yeah.
done it.
Choose the real joy. Like the thing that
Choose the
is
real
the
joy. And
real joy. Yeah.
sometimes the real joy is getting your butt to that gym or not eating that bun cake.
Exactly. Not just the easy, like the hidden, the thing that looks like joy but really isn't. Choose the real joy. That's ooh, okay, discernment showing up. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. And just thank you, Mari, for being here. I appreciate your joy, your energy. I love that you always been an amazing leader, just a great leadership example for everyone that you get to interact with and gets to work with you. And thank you for all you do to encourage women and women's leadership and multicultural leadership in organizations. It's important. We know it works. We know organizations are better
Yes.
when they're multicultural. So we know it works. So I just appreciate you and thank you for being here. This has been a joy for real. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Work Well, Live Well podcast. If you're ready to grow as a leader or as an organization, head to enelratalent.com. That's ENELRA talent.com to learn how we can support you. Like what you heard? Follow or review the show so you don't miss what's next.